talking to you a little bit. I'm going to tell you now, but then we're going to have an amazing panel who's going to tell you about the concept of feedback. And Amy got me nice and relaxed. And when I think about getting feedback, I'm not always super relaxed. And so that's on me. Maybe some of you feel the same sometimes when you get feedback. But this panel is going to tell us kind of how to go beyond that, how to do it in our communities in a really nice way, and when to do it in the right way. And we have an amazing group of people coming out to share that with us. And so first, we have our moderator. Her name is Whitney Marin. She is the CMX Connect chapter director for Paris. Came all the way here from France. She yelled this morning when I said, who's our international people? We have Maria Encinar, the global user group program lead at Amazon Web Services. And we also have Armin Pop, manager of onboarding at Gainsight. Please welcome our panelists to the stage.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. My name is Whitney Marin. I am the CMX Connect Paris chapter director and also a Senior Customer Success Manager at Hivebright. This is my very first CMX Summit, so I'm thrilled to be here with all of you today. And also very excited to talk about feedback-driven communities. Feedback isn't just a tool. It's actually the foundation for growth, for strength, and also for building stronger connections within your community. So today, we are joined by two community experts. We have Armin Pop from Gainsight and also Maria Encinar from Amazon Web Services. So I will let them introduce themselves before we get into the topic.
Well, I'm definitely not an expert, but I am a community geek, so that is started. I've been building communities for 15 years, first 10 of them as a volunteer. And then I realized that this could be a job, and then I have the best job in the world. And I work at AWS, leading the AWS user group program globally. And I live in Spain, which is quite thin. It's a small town in Spain, in the corner. Leading a global program is a fun fact.
All right, and my name is Armin Pop. Thank you, Whitney, for the introduction. I'm the manager of onboarding at Gainsight, been there for about 3 years. And like Maria, I don't think I'm an expert. I dabble a bit, but definitely since joining Gainsight, I've seen a lot of the value of community in my day-to-day job, which has been wonderful.
Awesome, thank you. So today we're really going to talk about a practical topic, which is how to build feedback systems that work. So a question for all of you here today: how many of you feel that you are collecting and integrating feedback effectively within your organizations? By a show of hands. OK, we have some hands there. For those of you who might need some extra tips in this area, this is going to be quite a practical session. And then we also have our frameworks directly within the action guides, so you can check that out after, once that's ready for you. OK, so I will throw it over to Armin to begin. I'm curious to know, how are you integrating feedback into the onboarding process at Gainsight, and what does this look like practically?
Yeah, great question. And again, thanks for the introduction, Whitney. So at Gainsight, obviously, at a very basic level, I think these are table stakes for any SaaS organization in the 21st century. You obviously want to send out an NPS survey at the end of onboarding just to make sure that every client is heard. They have a chance to give you feedback and collect those scores. Right, again, from an industry stand perspective, that's important. Some other things we do, though, is obviously during onboarding, we're very excited this year. We're hoping to roll out via our PSA tool and actually kind of like an intra-project feedback tool where, based on certain milestones or time spent in the project, we'll be sending a survey both to our internal as well as our external stakeholders. And there's different surveys we can send out. At the very basic level, what we're hoping to do is just kind of like a pulse check. I think the intent behind it, and I think you'll hear that word a couple times during today's session, is really about, I think we've all been in this situation where a project is green one day, and then the next day there's a huge escalation. And so really with this system of sending surveys during the project to both internal and external folks, we're hoping to reduce and get kind of a little bit more proactive. At Gainsight, too, we have a very vibrant and active community. So during onboarding, we encourage all of our customers to go into the community, interact with each other, but also join our open and closed betas, provide feedback to our product team, to other folks in onboarding, talk to each other. And then we're also very proud we open up, during onboarding, access to our product managers. So as we are working on our roadmap items and delivering those to our customers and enhancing our community platform, We, of course, want to hear what customers have to say and the own ideas they bring. So oftentimes in onboarding, right, customers comes out of the sales cycle, they get their hands on the platform for the first time, maybe noticing little things that weren't fully identified during the sales cycle. So getting their fresh opinions on that has been really remarkably impactful for our product team as well.
Awesome. So making sure to really just keep in touch throughout the process.
Definitely, yeah, start to finish.
Awesome. Maria, my next question for you is, how do you ensure that feedback from the community truly shapes the way that your programs evolve at Amazon Web Services?
Sure. So the AWS User Group program is basically we have community leaders that they lead their own local communities. So they organize educational events and networking opportunities. A little bit like CMX Connect or Startup Grind kind of community. So basically, they are also experts in this community. So I work for them, and they work for their own community. So the feedback to me started with a little bit of like a change in the mindset, which is I not only build for the community, but I build with the community. And the with in the build with the community, it is what the feedback is key. And I was, as we were preparing this panel, I was thinking, okay, what is the framework that I use? And basically, I thought, okay, I have like a community feedback loop that has 6 stages. I'm going to use some notes so I don't forget anything.
Go for it. They're all good.
And everything starts with why. Why are you collecting feedback? The more specific, the more realistic, and the more actionable, the easier it's going to be to prioritize the feedback that you get. Otherwise, things get messy a little bit after you collect the feedback. And then the second is, and I didn't realize that I was doing this, but it's a public commitment. So tell your community that you're going to be collecting feedback, why you're doing this, and that your commitment is to act on that and set expectations. So you won't be able to act on all the feedback, but you make the impossible to try to get the resources that they need in order to be successful. And the third one, especially if you work with a very global community, like the user groups, you want diversity in the feedback. You want to get feedback from different regions, you want from different stages of maturity, and that means collecting feedback from a set of very different mechanisms. And by mechanisms, I mean, it could be online, it could be in-person opportunities. Some of them, they will prefer anonymous feedback. Others, what they want is one-on-one time with you. Others, they're fine, with a survey kind of thing that they can do on their own. Others, like we have working groups where they get together and they provide feedback to each other, and this is how they improve and how we get feedback that is very, very actionable for us. And then is decide which feedback you're going to act on. And again, that ties to the why you're doing this, why you're collecting feedback, and of course, based on your business and also community priorities. For me, it's usually a combination of that. Is this good for the business, but is this going to make the community happy? If the answer is yes, then that feedback moves to the next stage. And then is one thing that I've been doing that is build a lot of trust with them is the 5th stage, which is report back to the community and thank them. Report back means we collect feedback throughout the year, but there's a specific feedback that I will include into the strategic planning that we do every year. So make sure that, hey, going back to them, it's like, remember when in July you did this? Well, here it is. This is why it's included now. This is it's coming from you. And then especially with feedback that comes very proactively from them, thanking them publicly. So if somebody is taking the time to send you a message or share something that is going to make the program better, that is going to make other folks in the community, their peers, better, make sure that you thank them publicly, because that encourages the behavior that, oh, we're in this together. What I'm doing is important. And the last part, and I learned this the hard lesson, it is analyze the feedback. So you collect the feedback, you're acting on that, but is that the initiative that you set up based on their feedback is successful? How is that performing? And I have an example. So is a lot of the user leaders, they were requesting free vouchers for AWS certifications. So, okay, I went out of my way, we found the budget, and we found a way of getting certifications for them. Fast forward a year, I've seen that less than 25% of them they were requesting. So it was like I kept the benefit, but I adjusted the resources that we were putting into those vouchers. So analyzing also means learning that all the feedback does not mean that after the feedback they're going to actually request that as much as we wanted. And then you do that all year round, every single day that you work with them, collecting feedback.
So I'm hearing that you're really creating a flywheel. You're taking information and incorporating it into each phase of your development within the community.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Any thoughts to add there, Armin?
No, I think Maria said everything really well. I guess I think this idea of like a circular motion around feedback, right? It's not a point to point, it's not a line, start to finish. It's really consistent all the time, right? Making sure that we're doing follow-up and things like that.
And are there any particular questions that you found super helpful in terms of collecting actionable feedback?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I think for us, when we had kind of onboard new customers into the Gainsight community platform, we really stress three things, right? We stress intent, we stress prescription, and we stress follow-up, right? Maria already talked a lot about follow-up, so I don't think I need to touch upon that too much, but this idea around intent or prescription is super important. It's great to ask customers, hey, if let's say you have a closed beta or you're doing a soft launch for your community, asking them to just, hey, what do you guys think about our community? Any thoughts? That's great. Engagement is always good. I think all engagement is good engagement, but really being intentional about your questions is going to yield better results. So if you're worried about your community structure being too complicated, asking a question saying, was it easy to find content? How difficult would you rate on a scale from 1 to 5 of navigating our community, right? This idea of being intentional around even your help articles. So saying, hey, were our articles helpful, right? If you're worried about that, asking questions around that. This idea also about prescription is super important. So if again, you can kind of create a list of tasks for people to complete in their first week. And then you can say, hey, in your first week, you completed these 5 or 10 or 12 tasks. How easy was it? And then you can take that back and potentially like simplify your community structure, adjust your help articles. Just again, this idea of being very open, right, as Maria highlighted a couple times already, and then following up. I think really the 3 pillars again, right, are intent, being prescriptive, and following up.
I love that gamification element too.
Yeah.
It's not always going to work for every type of community, but when you can give that extra incentive, you can really get some organic responses there.
Yep.
Nice. So I have a question for both of you. Once you actually collect the feedback, how do you make sure that members feel seen and heard, even if you don't wind up acting on their feedback?
I might take this, right?
Yeah.
I think that everything starts even before you start collecting feedback, which for me is setting the right expectations. So they don't get frustrated because you're not actually acting on their feedback. So that would be the starter for me. Then acknowledging their feedback, especially, again, when it's provided in a non-structured way, in a very improvised way, making sure that they feel heard. I think it was Jay at the very beginning would say, like, be a good listener, but also not only listen, but tell them, hey, I'm hearing you. I'm gonna add this to my plate and work. And then the third thing would be transparent and communication, making sure that when something is not possible, that if you can provide an answer why that is not possible. I think the community, especially the one that you work closer with you, they would understand that sometimes it's lack of resources, right? Because resources could mean budget, it could be people in the team, it could be anything. So providing that answer, I think, is build trust with them. And the last one would be make this an ongoing commitment. It is not like you provide feedback, ask them feedback 1 day or 1 week a year, and then you forget about them. No, because they're continually working with you and your product. So ongoing feedback for me would be the way to make sure that those people that their feedback was that you couldn't act on them, they keep providing feedback.
I love that. You have to really close the loop so that people feel like it's actually worth giving feedback, even if something might not become of that.
Yeah. It feels like I'm the loop of the flywheel community.
I love the strategies, flywheels, loops, all of it. Armin, anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's also, right, you mentioned it a little bit a second ago, Whitney, this idea of gamification. We all sometimes think it's a bit banal to tag somebody in a community post or say thank you. or give them some swag. Thank you, CMX, for the great T-shirt. But there's also, right, the piece of, like, again, in the Gainsight community platform, we can give out badges. So having a unique-looking badge that you can award to a set of users or just a user for being a speaker at a panel or participating in some sort of closed beta program, that goes a long way, right? So I think just the simple fact of acknowledging people openly and often, right, to Maria's point, being really open about what you're going to be doing and then doing it is super important. So.
And you all are both experts and well-versed in community, but that doesn't mean that everyone in your team or everyone across the organization is completely aware of feedback and also community. So do you have any examples of how other departments or other teams are working with feedback?
I can go first, yeah. So that's a great question, and I think it kind of brings together almost everything we've talked about so far. I think oftentimes we as hopefully it's not unique to Gainsight, but right, our panels or our presentations, sometimes we can come across as, like, too thought leadership-y and not actionable enough. So hopefully we provided some actions you all can take, but at Gainsight specifically, something that we're doing out of onboarding is actually running some new customer cohorts, which has been fantastic. So these are run by the CS team and a few CSMs, depending on obviously the segment of the customers you have in there. But these can range, right? So every quarter, every 2 quarters, we run a new cohort. And they usually run about a quarter or so. And then every week or every 2 weeks, one of the members of the CS team, they'll have an agenda, right, to obviously lead a conversation in this webinar or roundtable and invite all the people of the cohort in. But then on top of that, I think the best feedback we've gotten from our customers around these cohorts has been that they love talking to each other, right? They're all in the same boat. Maybe they migrated from another community platform, or they just have a brand new community. So likely a lot of the issues they're facing, but I think also the wins that they want to be known for are probably similar. So talking to each other in the same boat has been really great. And then on top of that, we also bring in some more seasoned community experts. One person that comes to mind, and specifically at Gainsight, is Juan from Devo. He's like a one-man superstar, honestly, runs the community, incredibly engaged, super dynamic. And I think bringing someone like him in, too, to kind of share his everyday actions, but also like his long-term vision, has been tremendous, just because he really shows that you can very effectively run a community and with active feedback through 1 or 2 or very, like, people or just a very small team. So that cohort has just been outstanding. So.
Yeah, I think is for Amazon and for AWS, the feedback is at the core of our DNA. So basically, we have something that is called working backwards, and is working backwards from customer feedback. And when it comes with the community specifically, we have 2 types of feedback, right? Is the feedback that affects the program, like the one that I shared before, but also the feedback that influences the products. And that is especially for developers. We host briefings with other product teams and the community, so they can provide under NDA some more information from the product teams, and the community can learn about that and have sort of like an influence on the roadmap, including. So I think is for us, both customers and their developers or sales teams. They have a huge influence. It's very, very at the heart of what we do at Amazon.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for this conversation. This has been really enlightening. And if you see any of our panelists today around for the next 2 days, please chat with them about how you can build your own feedback systems within your organization. All right. Thank you so much.